Good evening, welcome to another session of the Burning Blades. So last time saw them concluding their struggle in the ruins of the keep deep in the Plaguelands as they were assailed by various undead, which culminated in some vampires attacking. Things got a little bit hairy, particularly when Grishnak was mind controlled by one of the vampires into attacking Gortrek. Thankfully was able to shake it off before things got too serious. Things did go from bad to worse, but the group were then saved by the timely intervention of a group of riders, heavily armed and armoured riders, one of whom managed to cast down this column of sunlight, of magical sunlight, that basically immolated some of the remaining spawn and mists and forced the vampires to temporarily flee, buying enough time for the group to gather up their spilt possessions and flee in the company of these knights, riding hard for several hours to get themselves clear of this ruined keep. They learned that they had been rescued by the Order of Companions, who Rogar knew to be both the governing and the military arm of Elturel, their destination. You were in the company of Sir Oswald Reichsman, captain of the Order, who was rather a little bit miffed with you guys initially, rather stern, demanded to know who you were and why you were in the Plaguelands, why particularly you had been there in the ruins of that keep. Briefly, he did explain that it had been the ruins of a place called Fort Morninglord that had, about 5 years prior, been swallowed up by the Plaguelands, its entire garrison disappearing overnight. You were able to persuade him to give you a long rest to recuperate your various injuries, the various levels of exhaustion. Someone was on 2 levels of exhaustion. Was that Ruri or Cal? I can't remember. That was you. Okay, so everyone you get 1 level of exhaustion back. So Ruri, you are still on 1 level of exhaustion.
Cool. Is that disadvantage on ability checks?
Yes. I believe it is. I'll double check, but I believe it is. Also, anyone whose max hit points were affected by the various vampiric enemies, that is now restored. That's now back to normal.
Lovely.
The long rest has cured you of that, and that includes Ramsey, who was particularly savaged by the vampires.
Yeah. That's just for the wand. Ooh.
So we pick up as you all bed down for your rest. Oh, back to full charges for the wand.
Yeah, man.
As you bed down, there is no need for anyone to take watch, as the companions seem to have that well in hand. Reichsman going about ordering people into position, setting up perimeter. You are still in the Plaguelands. So as you all collapse onto the short, dry, bristly grass, sleep quickly takes you, as you're all pretty exhausted from your exertions. All of your dreams are fairly troubled. You know how it is when you're trying to sleep the night before, like a big day, you've got to travel somewhere and do something. You end up just dreaming of that same scenario over and over, and it's like that, except you're dreaming of the attack. You're there with the waves of undead coming at you over and over, and it just keeps playing in your mind, and it's that kind of unrestful rest, as it were. So when you do finally wake several hours later, you will find you're reinvigorated, physically but not mentally. You still feel a little bit worse for wear. As you wake, there is no sun visible in the sky. The clouds and gloom that shroud this land mask it from you. But you guess, based on the fact that you bedded down around sunrise, or as close to sunrise as you could tell, you reckon you're probably in early afternoon at this point. But like I say, there's no sun in the sky. It's very hard to tell. As you rise, you One of the guards, noticing you, kind of sees and calls over to Captain Reichsman, who quickly pulls himself up where he's sat. He seemed to be sat almost in meditation. He rises and strides over to you. Good. You're awake. Well, are you ready to ride? I don't wish to dally here any longer.
Oh, yep, I think that would be for the best.
Anyone else? Any objections?
Let's saddle up.
Good. Everybody be ready. Move out as soon as everybody is mounted. He turns and starts barking orders to his knights, who quickly gather up their possessions. Some of the ones who weren't on watch, who weren't taking a quick snooze themselves, were seemingly polishing weapons or checking over supplies. They'll quickly mount back up and wait for you all. Are you refitting the stretcher in this time, or is Taraxes going to continue carrying it for the time being? Your little cargo stretcher.
I'm easy with, you know, whatever you guys think. I'm happy to get it on the old butthead again. And
How long will it take to refit?
I mean, not too long. It will take you a matter of 5 to 10 minutes, really. It's more just a case of, obviously, as you found when you were fleeing from the hordes of undead, it does somewhat impact upon your travel speed. You can't go full pelt with Ramsey and Butthead when they've got it strung between them.
Whereas when Taraxis had it, he could already keep up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll keep. Traxxas can keep it then.
Okay. So instead of re-rigging it between the two goats, you just take a little bit of time to make sure everything is still on there, everything is secure. Let Taraxes get like a good grip on it as you all set off again. So, you ride for several more hours, heading north. Again, you find that the knights and Captain Reichsman are quite content to ride in kind of stoic silence. A little bit awkward. I mean, is there any discussions any of you wish to have between yourselves, or that you wish to try and have with any of the knights as you travel?
I think due to Rogar's positioning, kind of like X amount of foot off the ground, he's going to have to just keep to himself.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Although, as you're flying above them, Rogar, you do hear Taraxes' voice speaking in your head. This lot are a fun bunch.
I think I let out a little snort of laughter and try and get back to being serious.
I mean, really, I spend most of my time hanging out up there with Bahamut and all of the others. You think they would be ugly and stern, but this lot will really take the cake.
They are a happy bunch.
They are very stuffy. They're boring. I don't like them.
Well, give them a chance. We don't know what Elturel is like. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Valorian chips in at this point. You've got a full concert going on up in your head.
Actually.
Patience, Taraxes. There is much to be said for a ordered mind. They obviously adhere to a strict regimen. Their discipline, there is strength in that. That is as maybe. But they make for shit company.
It's like I've got the little angel and devil on my shoulders. Like,
Little bit. Okay.
It's like, can you two we don't need to talk anymore. Just no need to argue.
Rogar is right, Taraxes. We should focus on the matter of hand, getting free of this cursed land. As you say, but I'm the one doing all the work on that front, but whatever. Just kind of mutters into silence. As he mutters in silence, Valorian does just kind of chipping quietly again in your mind. Bahamut clearly smiles on you, but he must have a sense of humor to send you this one. Is there anything else anyone wants to discuss?
I'm gonna like pull up alongside just any random soldier and just be like, "Hey, mate, what's the entertainment situation like then?"
Kind of gives you a questioning look. Entertainment? What do you
Yeah, any good pubs, you know, anywhere to get in a scrap, anything like that?
mean? Kind of, yeah, it gives you a bit of a stern scowl. It is against the laws and tenets of Elturel to cause a fray or to be drunk and disorderly in a public place. But there are taverns. I imagine the likes... He kind of looks you up and down. I imagine the likes of you would seek out the Docklands for that.
Well, I'll make a note of it then.
Yes. The Black Antlers is a favourite of your adventuring types. It is a raucous and unruly place.
Well, that sounds like my kind of place.
I am sure.
I just shout back to Cal. Cal, I've got the hookup on a good place to drink when we get there.
Brilliant. I can't wait.
Hear a voice calling back from the front. Quiet. Eyes out, everybody. Focus. As Captain Reichsman admonishes you all. Okay. Any else, or you happy to continue on with the journey?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll maybe like try and play catch with Gotrek, like try and throw something at Gotrek and he can throw it back while we're riding.
I mean, you're quite you're a performer, Ruri. You're quite dexterous. You're quite nimble. What are you throwing to Gotrek?
My Rory statue, my second one.
Okay. Which one was this? Was it like? Do you remember the pose of it, or?
So he gave me two. The first one was just Rory, and the second one was Rory with wings and the mandolin.
Okay.
I think the wings and mandolin is the one that Cal fireballed back at the camp.
Right.
So I've just got the normal one.
Just the normal one. All right. So are you giving Gotrek like a little heads up before you?
Yeah.
Trying to amuse him this way?
Yeah. I'll be
All
like, Gotrek, are your senses keen?
He's currently AFK.
Oh, okay.
What?
So they're not keen. It's going to.
Right. It's his work. Okay. I'm going to roll this
It's
for
cool,
um, him then.
We can imagine.
Oh no! You're asking Gotrek to do something dexterous. Yeah, it's a smallish statue, but it is relatively ergonomic. You're riding at a fairly fast pace, so I'm going to say this is a hard check.
Cool.
He's going to love me doing this for him, but I'm going to set the DC at 15 on this one. Let's see how that. So you kind of, as you call out to him, he's a little bit distracted. He kind of looks up, whoa, what? As the statue tumbles towards him, bounces off his helmet, and then falls to the floor, and you just get a glimpse of it hitting the ground before it disappears under the hooves of the knights riding behind you all. Well, there goes that statue.
It's cool. That's why I didn't throw the chalice.
The third statue of Rory, like one of his French girls.
Yeah, I must write to Oscar at Mithril Hall and get him to make me one.
I need more statues. Okay, so that mark that
cool.
statue off your inventory.
Okay, cool. That's enough bullshit, I think.
All right. So you carry on riding for several hours, and the sky does start to dim. Not like drastically, but you can tell that you're getting into, late afternoon. After I'd say probably about 4 more hours of riding, you do see the kind of murky clouds ahead of you break and give way to a mostly clear sky. You can see trees in the distance, actually with foliage. And as you ride towards this, you look down and you see the grass suddenly getting a bit more spring in it, a bit of life, turning a darker green as you finally leave the Plaguelands behind you. And you do feel that kind of oppressive weight lift from you. You notice something else at this point as well, something interesting. While the sun, and free of the murky clouds of the Plaguelands, you can now see far off in the west, you can see the sun setting behind some distant mountains. In fact, you can probably tell which mountains those are if you look on the map. They are marked, literally, Sunset Mountains.
Ah, yes.
Helpful. Say what you see. The sun is setting in the west, but there is a glow from the north. Almost, not quite as bright as the sun, but sun-like. In the direction that you are headed. You carry on riding for another hour or so, and the sun is well and truly setting now, as night begins to fall. As you come over this last rise before the land falls away before you into flatlands around the Kionthar River. And this sun-like glow that had filled the northern sky for this last hour or so of your travel. Rogar, do you have your magic sight up right now?
Yeah, I think he would have turned. I think he once the Plaguelands stopped bothering him, he would have turned it back on.
Okay.
Click.
So you've had it back on for a little bit. There would have been some radiance coming from the north, kind of growing in intensity over the last little bit. As you fly up over this rise and look beyond, and you behold the city of Elturel, all of you see, well, most of you see this large city sprawling out in front of you. The River Kionthar winds along this valley, and in the centre of this settlement there is this kind of long, almost like ovular hill, quite a defensible hill with a cliff on its south side where it meets the river, with large, tall, narrow buildings rising up on that. On the most southern end near you, you can see this grand hall with various towers coming off of it. To both sides of this hill are slightly less ornate smatterings of buildings. On the western side, it looks a bit more ordered, looks more like houses, maybe. Whereas on the right-hand side, seems a little bit less utilitarian. You can see docklands that join this river. It's quite a wide river, the Kionthar. It's the main one that flows down towards Baldur's Gate. So there's a lot of trade that travels along here. You can see there's quite a lot of activity going on even this late in the day. And there's a large docklands on the eastern side, which then surrounded by warehouses, and then slightly more run down, shall we say. This city ahead of you. And above the city, floating above it, maybe, let's see. It's hard to judge exactly how high. Hanging over the city is a large shining orb that gives off this kind of almost sunlight, kind of almost natural sunlight, but with this faint kind of shimmer to it, that bathes and illuminates the entire city, even as night falls. Rogar, you are practically blinded by the overwhelming magical aura coming on. It is intense. Like, you've never experienced anything quite so overwhelming. Yeah, you are. You're either going to have to turn that off like immediately, or you just cannot see.
I'll turn it off literally straight away.
And as you as you kind of and shield your eyes as you deactivate your magic vision, Captain Reichsman does, with a little bit of melodrama, kind of rein his horse in at the rise and cast his hand out over. Behold, Elturel, last bastion of hope and order in this land. And looks up to you. You had asked him previously about the companion, Rogar. About who the companion was. He points, looking as you hover above them, looks up to you and points at this orb. There, servant of Bahamut. There is the companion.
I think I've got like hand in front of my eyes, like peering through my eyes as the magic vision turns off. And I just kind of mutter, it's beautiful.
That it is. It is that which safeguards us against the terrors of the night. Come then. There is much to do before we can rest for tonight. He starts riding down the hill, beckoning all to follow.
With gusto.
Oh yeah.
So,
I like this guy, a drama.
I'll
love a
put
good
you
squid orb.
on the city map.
Ooh, hello.
Ooh.
So yeah, the 5-turreted like grand hall that you can see is this building just here in the centre. So obviously, yeah, you've got this hill which you can. It's a little vague, but you can kind of see the little contour marks showing you this this hill that rises up in the centre.
Shit. Be right back.
You guys can, Cal can't.
We're losing inputs.
You can see, yeah, stretching down the middle of this cliff, there is a rather ornate kind of band of greenery growing up in it. Yeah, the buildings on the hill, they are constructed of stone. It looks quite crowded. The buildings, they're tall and narrow. They're topped with spires, bedecked with balconies, windows. And from what you can see of the streets as you come down this hill onto the flatlands, they seem quite narrow, steep and winding. And yeah, the high hall, whose walls encircle this little summit with its soaring turrets. On the western side, sorry, yeah, the eastern side seems to be more hovels, warehouses clustered around these docks, which you can see marked down here. And the western side does appear tidier and seems to comprise more well-off homes. Although you can see the homes on the eastern side, they're of a similar style of building. They're just less, they just appear a bit less well-off. There's a little bit less order to it. They seem to be, you get the impression that they've more been built up where other warehouses, other buildings have been torn down over the years. And there's a canal cutting in on the right, on the far east, far eastern side of the city, with barges running up it on the side of the wall. I'd say that's.
I'm getting like Gondor vibes, like with like the hill and the high hall and stuff.
A little bit, yeah, on a smaller scale, but yes, it's got that kind of sense of. You definitely get the idea that whoever built this made it to look quite grand.
Yeah.
But looking around, you can also see quite a few cranes in place here and there. Scaffold. It looks like the place is being somewhat. A lot of these touches might be quite recent. You know, like this is an ongoing, current project to beautify this place.
It's been gentrified.
Maybe. So as you get down towards the bridge that crosses the river, around about dead centre on the southern side of this city, as you get close, and there's a little kind of almost checkpoint ahead with a couple little guardhouses. The bridge, it's quite a long bridge, but it looks like it's a drawbridge in segments to allow boats to pass under if they're like particularly masted. Masted? That's a word.
Oh yeah.
But as you get close, Reichsman does hold up his hand and calls the little procession to a halt. Starts barking orders. Right, you men, set up a camp here. I will return before the night is out. Kind of points to one of his lieutenants. Take charge, keep everyone in order, and be ready to leave. Points to a couple of them. You and you, accompany me. And you lot, gesturing to all of you, follow. He kind of looks up at Taraxes, tilts his head to one side. This one may be problematic. I think he will need to wait here with your cargo.
That's fine by me. He can guard the eggs.
Very well. Okay, so have you dismount Taraxes?
Yeah.
So yeah, Tracy kind of looks at you. Very well. I'll wait here with the scintillating company. I'll make sure none of them touch the eggs.
I just point and I'm like, behave.
When do I ever not?
Good job no one else can understand you.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's a really good thing, isn't it?
I can say what I like about these boring mouth breathers.
It's like another snort of like a stifled laugh. Okay, I'll be back soon.
Very well. You let me know if you need anything, yes?
Mm-hmm.
So,
You too.
so you dismount. I would say Ramsey can probably take you as well as Rory, but however you want to do it.
Yeah, hop on. Hop on back. It'll be good to be riding on the front for a change.
There's a euphemism waiting to be made in there, but I'm not going to touch it. Although technically I already have.
I very awkwardly sit on the back, like I don't know where to put my hands, and I just kind of like around the back when I've just kind of put them round Rory's waist, like, is this okay? Is this how we do this?
Yeah. You never ridden on the back before?
No.
You'll get used to it. Stop!
There's a top-bottom joke in it somewhere, but...
Stop!
Sorry. Okay. So as you get to the little bridge checkpoint, Captain Reichsman rides up and pulls off a sharp, snapping salute to the guards waiting there. Men, I have some business here. I will require an escort up to High Hall. And the guard at the gate will nod. At once, my lord. And kind of talks to a couple of others. One of them disappears into the little gatehouse. 4 guards will come out and kind of simple, like pot helmets, shields and spear. And kind of nod and form up around you all as you start trotting across the bridge into the city. Okay, so yeah, you come in along... They're a little tricky to see. There's these slightly dark grey, well, light grey roads. So yeah, as you come in, there is definitely a bit more of a... There's a bit of a funk to this side of the city. There's obviously the smell of the river. Slightly kind of stagnant water smell where it's caught in the little bays, the little inlets and docks, as well as general smell of refuse, of people living, working in tight confines. The buildings down here, yeah, the stone of the buildings is more rough cut and grey, as opposed to the white stone that seems to be that it looks like the upper city is being renovated with. There is a... You can see there's quite a presence of guards around. It's not like there's columns of them marching up and down the streets, but like at every street corner, you can see at least a couple. There's not... Yeah, wherever you look, you can see at least one guard. Just keep an eye on things. And people seem to be going about their business in a fairly... there's almost like an unconscious... like one-way system going on, you know? Like people are walking on... If they're going northwards, they're walking on one side of the road. If they're going south, they're on the other side of the road. There's this sense of order to the place that's a little bit almost soulless, somewhat. So you make your way along this little path here as it curves through the streets, along a rather long stretch of road, past many houses, then turning, coming back on yourself along here, as you begin to climb up the side of the hill, the path running up, gentle slope. As you come back towards the south end, and doubling back as it steepens around this point, as you come up towards this high hall. As you get to the top, there is another checkpoint. This one much more fortified. It's set into the walls that go around this entire hill section. I realise I'm gesturing with my mouse and you can't see that. Around the entire upper city. And then a couple of guards on gate again. They kind of give a sharp salute, but no one questions you as you ride past. The gates are swung open for you to enter as Reichsman returns the salute. Immediately turning left, marching towards this high hall. Again, there is another set of grand gates. This space looks quite defensible, but up close you can see, yeah, the scaffolding, the cranes around, they are definitely doing this place up, replacing the old rough-cut stone with, it's not marble, but yeah, this white stone with almost a pearlescent aspect to it. They seem to be replacing and rebuilding. Most of it's done, but there's still little remnants here and there. Again, a couple of words exchanged with the guards on the gate. You can't quite make out before the gates are swung open. And Reichsman gestures you all to follow as you march in to this almost kind of quite a typical castle. With the various soaring turrets above you. Okay. So yeah, you come into a courtyard where stable hands come forward to take your mounts. As you dismount, and they are led into sort of stables just off to the set in that little northeastern corner of the courtyard. Captain Reichsman turns to all of you. Right, come with me. We will talk with the High Marshal. He needs to know about your cargo, and whether or not it is acceptable to bring it within the city walls. I can trust you all to mind your manners while we're inside.
I'll look at Grishnak and Cal.
Yeah, same. Like immediately with the snap. Like,
do we have a Cal back now?
Yeah, sorry, the gazebo blew over our next door neighbour's garden.
Oh, blimey.
Oh no!
And I went.
So, Cal, how are you attired right now? Obviously, when he first rode up and kind of bailed you all out of Fort Morning Lord, you would have been in full fire mode. How are you? Obviously, the flaming beard and hair are now absent. Is the mask on or off?
The mask was off.
The mask was off then. Have you put it back on now?
No.
Okay, so you still must have. So, as he's looking around at all of you, getting your assurances, he does look, and his gaze holds on you. What about you, dwarf? You are some kind of sorcerer, a pyromancer? I trust. Go ahead.
I say I'm a cleric.
Really?
Yes. I'm devoted to my deity, but I'm a cleric.
Very well. I trust you will contain yourself.
Well, I imagine so.
You imagine so.
Aye, I've got manners.
You better.
Well, I think he means that as long as we are treated fairly, we will in turn offer the same.
This
In
is
fairness, I'm going with my friend here to the Dragon Eye Docks.
Yeah, we're gonna have a nice little drink, aren't we, Cal? Once we've taken care of business,
Hey, just a social affair.
we'll be good boys as long as you don't poke the bear, so to speak.
Ha! Okay. Oh, he kind of looks at you. And that is your prerogative. But this is Elturel. Particularly we are in the High Hall of Elturel. Law and order are paramount here. You will be treated fairly. That you have my word. Just mind yourself. Right, come on. He strides ahead towards the large double doors marking the entrance. And it's one of these things, these are huge double doors. They're easily like 25, 30 feet high. Into them are carved, it's this ornate bronze sculpture depicting, at the top, in the centre, and you can see that obviously this would be like split into two halves if these doors are opened, is this large radiant orb, which you can only assume is the companion that hangs above you now, with rays shining down. Depicted like below it is a figure with arms outstretched, like robed figure, arms outstretched and like head tipped back, looking up at this orb. Around them, sort of like surrounding them in this kind of like V shape, are clad armoured figures that armour very similar to what Captain Reichsman and the other knights that rescued you were wearing, and they're kind of stood around him with like both arms clasped on the sword hilts, like blades down around him, that kind of typical pose. And you can see kind of, and it's meant to be set. It's quite stylized, but there's like what appears to be like the buildings of the city to the sides in the background, as it were, and then along the bottom are like figures with almost bestial. There's no facial features carved on, but like the profile is almost bestial, and they've got these clawed hands raised up, trying to shield themselves from these rays that obviously setting them alight as they recoil from it along the bottom. But the gates, the large double doors do not open. Instead, there is a very small, normal-sized door set at the base on the right-hand side, and that is opened for you to travel through. You get the impression these are here for show, and they're probably not opened unless there's some kind of ceremonial occasion. The door is opened. You enter into a large hall, and here, this is where the marble is used. There is large marble pillars rising to each side. It's a fairly wide, fairly long, you know, good like 30, 40 feet wide, probably about like 80 feet long hallway that runs, and at the end, a large staircase rises up. There are statues of knightly figures, figures in robes, and at the end, there is a large, like at the base of the stairs, is a large figure. I would say Ruri and Rogar. So you could do me a religion check on this one if you want to, see if you recognise the figure in this statue.
Is that a disadvantage for me?
You know what? I mean, this is... I mean, you're tired, but this is... Yeah, no, I'd say it is a disadvantage because you are mentally taxed right now and you're just not... You're just a little bit... trying to rack your brain for...
18?
All right, yeah. So Rogar, you've never seen this figure before, but Rory, it's like a... It's quite an imposing figure, quite muscular, bare legs. He's wearing like kind of... He's got a... what looks like a metal armoured belt with a... this is where I'm terrible. I'm not entirely sure what you call them, but you know where you've got like that armoured... It just falls down from the belt across, like down between your legs, kind of thing, like a long loincloth.
Yeah.
But then bare-chested with a cloak, seemingly fastened onto nothing, around his, like over his shoulders, and out in an outstretched arm is a broadsword. This figure is Torm. He's known as the True and the Loyal Fury. This is the god whose portfolio consists of duty, loyalty, and righteousness, as well as law.
Right, makes sense.
Yeah, this is a very... It's a very kind of almost Conan the Barbarian-esque figure, kind of thing, but with a bit more of a noble stature to it. And these steps, they rise off into the distance, up to some like high level. It all looks very grandiose. But about a third of the way down the hall, Reichsman actually turns to the left and goes towards rather than going towards the steps of the back, goes towards this small, regular sized set of double doors, which still have a rather ornate bit of pillar and arch work wrought around it. And on either sides of the door are these small statues of knightly figures on rearing horses. And there's guards on either side, one of whom opens the doors for you as you approach. And you come through into a smaller chamber, at the back of which it's like a small almost like pentagonal shaped chamber. But with the point would be on the side you entered, and it's somewhat blunted by the doors. So there's two walls sloping away from you before straightening out. And then at the back on the back wall of the room, there's a desk set with a figure in dark grey robes sat at them with various bits of paperwork, like a quill and ink, set before him. And then on each side of the desk on the back wall is a door. Very much gives you the sense of a reception room, this, but it is quite. There's no seats in here beyond that which the receptionist appears to be sat on. There's no plants. There's nothing. It's just these white walls with little bits of carving and fanciness. Can't think of a better word than that right now, I'm afraid. Adorning them. And this clerk does look up as you approach, and there's like a kind of dry, kind of almost kind of wearisome expression to his face. It's kind of snide, and in a slightly, with the same almost Germanic accent. I'm giving you a description of the accent before I do it, because I might not do it justice at all. With the same sort of Germanic accent, but a little bit shriller, a bit more nasal. Kind of looks up as you approach.
Sir Oswald. This is unexpected. You are not due back for another 10 day.
Captain Reichsman approaches.
Duty demands, Clerk Wendell. I have a matter I must bring to the High Marshal. I see. And the nature of this matter is?
A group of travellers. We pulled from the ruins of Morning Lord. Wendell cuts him off with a kind of dismissive hand gesture.
Adventurers, mercenaries, and sellswords. Point them in the direction of the Dockland taverns and be done with them. This is not a matter that needs trouble, the High Marshal.
Captain Reichsman's expression darkens at this, glowers, and he very slowly but deliberately places both mailed fists on the desk and leans forward.
It is not your place to judge what I bring before the High Marshal, paper pusher.
Oh, hell yeah.
The clerk slightly, kind of slowly leans back at this, and there's that kind of half expression of fleeting worry across his face. He's quite a slight person with that. He's got like that monk haircut, where they put the bowl on the head and shave everything inside it.
Yeah.
Then with that little kind of tufts around the edge, he kind of stammers a little bit, but catches himself.
My apologies, Captain. I meant no offence. Lord Hector is holding an open audience at present. You may all enter, but I will need to take the names of those accompanying you for the records.
And looks up expectantly at the lot of you.
Well, who do I have the pleasure of admitting to the High Marshal's chamber?
Rogar Grimfrost.
Rogar Grimfrost, I see. Very well. His gaze falls next to Gortrek, who...
Hello.
Oh, you're back.
I am, sorry.
Falls to you.
I am Gotrek Doomfist.
Gotrek Doomfist. I see. Next looks to you, Grishnak.
Grishnak.
Grishnak. Just Grishnak?
Yeah.
Very well, just Grishnak.
And what about you, the pretty one?
Calibrate.
Yeah,
Yes, right.
perfect.
Kind of raises an eye as you say this, looking over at you, Cal. I see. Calibrate Doomfist. Any relation? Looking back at you, Gotrek.
I, my younger brother.
Very well, very well. Just going to have to turn you down a little bit, my friend. And you, looking to you, Rui.
My name is Rory Waters.
Rory Waters. Very well. Ah. You wouldn't happen to be a bastard of Waterdeep, would you?
I mean, I wouldn't personally phrase it so rudely, but yes.
Oh, you're welcome.
Am I?
Jots your name down. Right, very well. Thank you. Captain Reichsman, you may take your guests through to the chamber. And he gestures to either of the doors to the side of you. So the side of his desk. Hector just... Sorry. Oswald just scowls at him. And just walks over to the left-hand door. Opens it. Come, but keep your voices down. Wait your turn. Do not speak unless spoken to. And gestures you through. As you walk into... This hall is very similar to the large entrance hall you came into, just a lot smaller. It's probably only about... It's a bit more square. Probably 30 wide by 20 deep. There are just a few small pillars lining the side of it. With the... Say at the back in the middle, there's like a little raised dais, only like 4 or 5 steps raised, and upon it is a simple wooden chair. Wouldn't even really describe it as a throne. It is like a high-backed chair, obviously with armrests as well. It's not just like a simple piece of IKEA shite, but it's not ornate. It's not grand. It's not oversized. It's just like it's made to task. Sat upon it is a man. He's wearing... he's got a breastplate, but he hasn't got the full plate armor. He wears braces rather than gauntlets. He has all of the bearing of a military man getting into his old age. You know, he has a short-cropped silver hair. He has a broad face. He looks quite similar to Captain Reichsman, not in the sense of you think there's like a family resemblance there, but in that similar kind of... There's obviously a certain... certain genotype that's common in this region. You know, it's the large, chiseled, square jaw. He's pale-skinned, but there's this kind of weather-beaten leatheriness to it. He's quite scarred. You know, there's a scar running across the bridge of his nose, one coming down across his cheekbone. You can see a scar just above, like coming down into his eyebrow. Not like the full, like movie scar where it's coming down into your eye and then carries on down your cheek. It stops at his brow, but and then there's like a little kind of star-shaped scar coming up on the chin on one side of his face. He's got quite piercing eyes set under a rather furrowed, heavy brow. His shoulders are broad, his chest quite built. There's a sign of someone who's still got quite a lot of strength despite his years. There's a very weary expression on his face. Stood before his seat, like just before the steps rising up to it, is a woman in crimson red robes. She's got... Her hair is pulled back into a tight ponytail. It's like long black hair. She has a sharp face. She has a pale skin that seems to have been further whitened with almost like a chalky makeup in a way that's meant to be obvious. You know, this isn't like it's meant to be a subtle bit of contouring. This is just like... This is very blatant, kind of plastered on.
She's wearing white face.
A little bit, yeah. But she's already pale-skinned, so don't worry. There's no crime being committed here. This isn't in bad taste. It just looks a bit odd. She's got a very sharp face, and it's pulled into a cruel sneer. There also appears... Her own face is scarred, but this appears to be ritual scarring. You know, there are these regular marks cut into her cheeks. kind of in contrast to the more irregular scars on the seated figure's face. Particularly her, the crimson robe. As you step in and she turns as you enter, just briefly, giving kind of sideways glance, and you're able to make out this mark symbol on the front of her crimson robes, and it is that of a black hand held upright in almost kind of like a, in that greeting, in that like all fingers and thumb extended upwards, like together, and this black hand, and she kind of sneers as you enter before turning back. There are various other figures, you assume petitioners, lining the side of the chamber, probably about a dozen. Some of them look like traders, merchants, some dressed a bit more richly than others. It looks like a couple that might be like labourers, possibly builders. Others have more of a military bearing to them. A couple of them actually armoured in the same manner as Captain Reichsman, and there are 2 guards to either side of the throne. As you enter, the seated figure he's almost face palming. He's got that kind of hand covering half his face as his elbow rests on the arm of his chair, and he's halfway through the statement as you enter. As he speaks, "And unless they attack you or otherwise prevent you from your worship, the Creed Resolute does not permit me to intervene. Obnoxious they may be, but they have broken no laws." The crimson robed figure, as she turns back to this aging warrior, "Does the Creed not protect our freedom of religion? They seek to insult and demean our faith, but you tell me they break no laws. How can this be?" "Of course it does, Ermel, but it protects your freedom to practice. It does not shield you from their opinion, which, you understand, is derived from their own faith. And that, too, is protected. I understand your frustration with them, trust me, but I cannot act in any official capacity." She snaps back at him. "Froome spends his nights drinking and cavorting with his fellows. How long before he drinks himself into a self-righteous haze? You would wait until the crime has been committed, at the cost of my safety and that of my acolytes." He gives a sigh at this. "I will send a missive to Froome, reminding him of the Creed and his place within it. He is a fool, but a lawful one, and not an idiot. He knows not to breach the peace. And I will ensure the High District Guards are vigilant of him. If he should stumble up drunkenly from the Docklands with bloodshed on his mind, they will not permit him access. You have my word on this, Ermel, but you know I cannot do more than that. If this is the best I will get from you, then I shall waste no more of my time here. I am unhappy with this judgment. Maybe next time I will petition the High Observer." And he kind of sits up at this, leans forward. His expression does darken a little bit. "You may be unhappy, Sister Ermel, but this is my judgment, and you will be satisfied. There will be no next time, either from you or from Froome, and I will not hear otherwise. I am a busy man, and it is my time that cannot afford to be wasted settling this petty dispute. Now, you may go." The lady turns, scowling, and marches out without another word. Kind of striding past you, you actually have to quickly step aside a little bit, as she seems just to look straight through you as she goes, and you can more clearly see the symbol on the front of her robes. Rory, you can do me another religion check.
Cool.
Still at disadvantage, you are still a little bit mentally exhausted. Okay, yeah. You recognise this symbol as well. This is the symbol of Bane.
What?
Ooh.
Bane, as you know, is...
Older in the dark.
Oh, okay.
Alright, come on, get out your system now. "You merely adopted the darkness. I was born to it." Best part of that film.
I grew up in a hole in Morocco. I don't know if I got this accent.
So, you know Bane to be the greater deity of fear, hatred, and tyranny. Most notably, you know them to be basically an evil deity.
Yeah. I mean, I knew that as well.
Yeah. So
Rory doesn't like this lady.
you know of them from your studies, from growing up in a temple. You know that they are not permitted to worship in most places. Anyway, so she leaves in a bit of a huff.
Sort of like watch her go and just stare at the door as it closes, like my head tilted to the side slightly.
Still a bit, what the fuck? As she leaves, a figure who had been kind of sat on a small, simple wooden stool just off to the side of the dais rises. He's kind of got the look of a herald about him, and he brings up, starts to unroll a scroll, steps forward as if about to speak. Before he does, Captain Reichsman steps forward and raises a hand. Lord Hector, I apologize for interrupting proceedings, but I have a more urgent matter that I feel can be fairly quickly dealt with. I would like to get it out of the way so I can return to my patrol. The seated figure, Lord Hector, looks up. Captain Reichsman. Yes, of course. It's good to see you again. I hope you're well. Your patrol. It proceeds with... You have any cause for concern? The remarkably similar sounding Captain Reichsman steps forward. Nothing too untoward, but I found these travelers deep in the Plaguelands. We were notified of their presence by a rather impressive pyrotechnical display. As he looks to you, Cal. My lord, they were trapped amongst the ruins of Fort Morning Lord. I mean, at this, Lord Hector does kind of suddenly shift in his seat, sit upright, and look a little bit concerned. Fort Morning Lord. Looks to all of you. What in the nine hells were you doing there?
We were actually on our way here.
Where are you now? Got lost?
No, we were taking a shortcut.
I see. Well, is this all, Lord Captain Reichsman? He kind of clears his throat. No, my lord, I have quizzed them on this, on their purpose there. I believe them to be genuine. They did not know of the dangers of the Plaguelands. They were being pursued, hounded, I think, led into a trap. We were able to pull them out. There was no loss of life. Not on our part. They bring with them a cargo. 3 dragon's eggs. This one tells me, and he gestures to you, this one is a servant of Bahamut, and he tells me that he is on a quest. They must transport them north. I did not feel comfortable making a ruling on whether or not they could be brought within the city. I leave that to your judgment. Kind of, Lord Hector sits back, strokes his chin. He's got this quite neatly trimmed kind of Lincoln beard going on. Kind of strokes it a couple of times. I see. Very well, Captain. You may leave them with me. I appreciate you have duties to attend to. Captain Reichsman salutes, turns to you all, kind of gives you a solemn nod, and he files out the chamber. You're left. The various petitioners stood around, staring at you in a kind of see where this one goes kind of expression. And Lord Hector kind of... Say again?
I'm just saying bye to the captain.
He kind of half turns as you say this and goodbye. Kind of give like half a wave as he carries on, shaking his head just a little bit.
Orcs.
Lord Hector kind of gestures all of you to step a little bit closer. Come. So, these eggs.
Where did you get them?
Very, very recently, with a few days ago, I believe.
Yes, but where from? What is the origin?
Well, we nicked them off the dragon cult.
The dragon cult. Was there a dragon present? Should I expect an angry parent to come looking for these eggs?
I don't. No,
I
No.
don't believe so, no.
the cave that we found them in, it was not. The conditions of the cave were ripe for. They were attempting to hatch them. There was no mother in sight. They had to go to a warm cave.
I see. Very well. Does the cult itself pursue you?
Probably.
Yes, quite possibly.
Quite possibly. This is...
Looking at Gotrek, like,
What do you mean?
By which I mean, are they actively following you? Should we expect them to turn up in a day's time seeking to reclaim these?
Well, not to be crass, your lordship, but we killed everyone in the cave.
Right, okay. So it's more that you have an enemy in them as opposed to you're in direct pursuit.
Yes, quite.
Oh, sorry, that they are in direct pursuit. You know what I mean? It's been a long day.
Yes, I feel that.
What is the nature of these eggs?
they
they
go
are-
ahead, Roy.
Black dragon eggs.
There's a little bit of muttering from some of the figures around the room. He kind of raises his head a little bit in a I see kind of expression.
Exactly. Our goal, all of us together, we hope. Well, primarily, we're here to be paid for the service of defeating the cult. My friend Leosin is here in your city, but then also we seek to travel north and deposit them with an ally of my friend's deity. I'll give a little nudge to Rogo.
Okay. At this point, he rises from his seat. He's quite tall for a human. He's about 6'3", and it doesn't seem that age has stunted him any. He comes down the steps in a fairly... He's got a slight limp to him, but one that suggests more of an old injury rather than poor health in age. And he comes and he walks up to you, Rogar. He doesn't stand anywhere quite near as tall as you. But as he stands before you, he doesn't seem like he's trying to measure up to you. He's not trying to front on you. But he does step quite close to you and like peers quite intensely into your eyes. A servant of Bahamut you are.
Yes, my lord.
Kind of lifts a hand, just firmly takes your chin and kind of does that, turns your head to one side to the other. Unless, of course, you wish to resist.
I don't, but my eyes kind of go wide. A little bit, like,
I
fuck,
see.
let's go do it.
Oh. Sorry, Grishnak's just having a little bit of a rumble. I see. Yes, you have the look of a nobleman about you.
Thank you, my lord.
Well, Captain Reichsman vouches for you. He's always been a good judge of character. And you have business within town, you say?
Yes, as my friend said, we have a contact here, Leosin.
Leosin. No, I do not know him. Do you know where you are meeting this man?
No. I assumed he'd just be in a tavern, and we'd find him there.
This is probably true. I would hazard a guess that you will find him in the Easterly, amongst the docklands. This is where most travellers tend to stay, especially those who are not so at ease with our ways here. Those who might want some of the liberal freedoms of wherever they are from. Very well. I don't suppose you know where it is, how long it is that you intend to be here?
Not long, I do not think, my lord.
No,
We-
a night, maybe two. Really, it's just as soon as we find our contact.
Very well.
And ideally, if you pardon me, my lord, we have far to go with these eggs. I wonder if you have access to a teleportation circle or something similar to take us as far north as possible.
Okay. He shakes his head. It's like as soon as you say, there's not even hesitation, just shakes his head. No, there is no such facilities within Elturel. I'm sorry.
What about Baldur's Gate? I know we're not too far away. Do you know if they have anything like that there? I'd assume they might.
Does kind of glower as he looks at you at the mention of that. You want to deal with Baldur's Gate, that is your business. I'll have nothing to do with that den of vagabonds.
It is indeed a wretched hive of scum and villainy.
A little bit.
As he goes on his tirade about Baldur's Gate, I just turn to Cal and do like the face.
It's such a naughty boy. He's talking to headmaster.
I was going to let out a nice chuckle at Grisnak.
He seems not to notice. As he looks back to you, Rogar, and you, Ruri, kind of looking between two of you. Do you know where it is that you will be staying while you're here?
No.
No, but I would very much enjoy to take in your city. The freedom of religion, very interesting, inspiring.
The Creed Resolute, it forbids us from allowing differences of religion to break the peace.
And do you succeed in keeping the peace?
We do, despite the efforts of some.
Yes, forgive me, the lady who was before us, she was having trouble with a man. I recognize his name.
You have heard of Ontharthrum?
I look at Rory and I'm like, isn't that the man who Leosin mentioned?
Yes, I believe it is, actually. Let me consult the oracle.
He kind of little show of surprise at this. You consort with the Order of the Gauntlet?
Well, I wouldn't say we consort with them. We just
That is
know the
good.
name in passing.
They are
Contact, basically.
the Gauntlet are a headstrong, impulsive, reckless group. They think themselves above the law, where it suits them. They are troublemakers in this town.
And what was their problem with that lady previously?
They cannot understand why the Creed Resolute permits the followers of Bane to keep a temple here. Froome almost seems to take joy in antagonizing Sister Ermel. And of course,
Bane or
it may be to your distaste as well, but it is well within the law here in Elturel.
And you receive no trouble from the followers of the Black Hand whatsoever.
In the 50-odd years that they have been permitted to worship openly here, no, they have not caused us any issue.
Forgive me if I'm overstepping. I would be worried if I had no trouble in 50 years from... Sort of start looking at his feet.
Trust me, we keep things well in line here. They know their place. Ermel is somewhat arrogant, but she does not... They behave themselves, as do all those who keep a temple here.
another question, my my lord. Excuse me, I know you're busy.
I am.
Many temples here.
Yes, we do.
Are you aware of any followers of Lendis?
Lendis. No, I do not know of this. Is he are they a draconic deity?
I sheepishly look down. I'm like, they were.
Hmm.
It is not matter.
No, I do not know of this Lendis. We have a small draconic district, a draconic wing to the temple district.
Oh,
It is possible that your Lendis is there, but not to my knowledge, and I stay quite on top of these things.
thank you, my lord.
Not at all, not at all. If you wish to look for yourself, then you'll find the temple district at the northern end of the upper city, on the eastern side of the garden.
Please mark it on my map.
You get the impression
No,
he's referring to about this kind of part of the city.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. That's your temple district.
That might actually be a good idea. We can see if any of us have got a temple to our Jesus Daddy here.
Okay, well, I would like to have a guard accompany you as you go off in search of a place of rest. Well, actually, you are looking for Faerun. You'll find him at the Black Antlers. He and his cohorts seem to have set up a unofficial headquarters down there, as they are free to drink and be as rambunctious as the city laws will allow.
Well, that's the pub we were going to, Cal. Sorted.
Wow, that's a
Looks-
coincidence.
Looks back at the two of you. Why am I not surprised?
What's that supposed to mean?
It is a favourite haunt of adventurers.
I'll let you off then.
I will interrupt and be like, thank you, my lord. Give it
You
the
managed.
deepest bow.
You managed to interrupt just at the right time to kind of talk over Cal's little "I'll let you off" line. It's like a slight you do get a bit of a withering look, Cal, but he seems to let it pass for the moment.
And I will start walking backwards, bowed, and bump into Grishnak or Cal, whoever I hit first, and just like move backwards. Let's go.
I want to ask about if I can use any forges or are there any permissions or whatever.
Welcome,
Like me to ask for you.
As Gotrik's kind of being pushed out, like.
Okay, he does as you leave. I will have a guard accompany you down. If it is okay with you, you will be monitored during your stay here. It's not that I do not trust you. If there's any change in the status of the eggs, I don't want to be the last to know. With a dragon flying over my city.
Of course, yes. We found your soldiers to be very charming.
I owe one a favour.
Very well. Right. Be off with you. Cause me no trouble. Do not make me regret this.
No, of course not. You can count on us. And as I'm walking out, I'll give him a little bardic inspiration. Just walking backwards.
He gives you an almost pleading look, Rogar. Keep them in line. Kind of then just kind of waves you out. And like climbs back up the dais to his seat and kind of gestures the herald forwards. What is next on the agenda?
What about the forge?
So, as you, as you leave, one of the guards who was stood by the side of him does kind of follow you out and kind of, please, this way, and leads you back out the way that Captain Reichsman led you in. Back out into the courtyard, kind of gestures to the stable hands who come start bringing your mounts back over to you. As this happens, the guard, please wait just a moment, disappears off into a building over on the other corner of the courtyard.
Like it.
There are quite a few guards around watching you.
Okay, let's not.
You wait for a few minutes. If there's anything you wish to do in these few minutes while you're waiting, any quick discussions you want to have, or anything you want to sort out?
I guess should we just go straight to the black antlers?
We need to get the eggs.
Ah, bollocks.
Yeah.
The eggs.
Eggs then antlers.
Yes, eggs and antlers.
Okay.
I'll check Ramsey over, just making sure he's nice and healed after yesterday.
Yeah, no, he's looking alright.
Yeah.
Just do me an animal handling check as you're checking him over.
Okay.
You are still at a disadvantage
Oh, good. Yeah.
with your exhaustion.
He's gonna fucking headbutt me.
Back.
Ooh.
Oh,
Big
wow.
ball. Not wasting
Yeah.
them or anything.
No, not at all. Yeah, physically, Ramsey looks okay, both from the healing that Gortrek and yourself was able to give him, as well as the rest. You notice though he seems a little bit. I'm assuming Ramsey's a boy goat.
Yeah. Ramsey's boy.
He seems a little bit skittish. There's a slightly, like the eyes dart a little bit. They're a little. There's a nervousness to Ramsey now after what happened.
I won't get on
Developed
straight
goat
away.
PTSD.
Little bit.
I'll stroke his face and I'll give him a big cuddle.
Okay, well, with that check, I'd say he's responsive to you and does you do feel like the heartbeat's ever so slightly quicker than it should be, but as you kind of stroke him, kind of just try and calm him a little bit, you do feel that it goes down a little and seems a little bit more at ease.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry. I'll give him a little kiss on the head and I'll give him resistance,
Okay.
which is just a D4 off a saving throw.
Well, if he needs to make any saving throws, I'll remember that.
Yeah.
So a dragon flies over.
What? No!
Okay.
It's a goat-eating dragon.
So the guard comes back out of the little of the small building that you assume now must be some sort of little guard barracks. There's 4 guards coming in behind him. Again, they've got the little pot helms, shields, and spear. And he comes up to you and looks to you, Rogar, as they've with your stature, your bearing, the way you hold yourself, your armor. These people, you get the impression that basically all of the official people here are going to kind of default to seeing you as being in charge.
Fine, but
Oh, it's fine by you. Depends on everyone else. Kind of looks at you. These men will accompany you down to the Black Antlers, and then we'll see to bringing the eggs within the city walls. They will then, they will then keep a watchful eye over you while you remain within Elturel, in case of any change in the eggs, as ordered by Lord Hector.
of course, whatever needs to be done.
He kind of gives you a kind of like a half salute to you, and he turns and gives like the full salute to the other soldiers, and then heads back inside the hall. And they kind of look expectantly at all of you. So, yeah, when it looks up, I understand we are to escort you down to the Black Antlers.
Yes, if you would be so kind.
Very well. If you will follow us, please. They form up. Begin to lead you on your way. So, yep, they lead you back down, out through the gates, down the winding kind of switchback path, down the side of the hill. Getting back down to the bottom, and they do take you through the relatively ordered streets. You come out into a large market square down here. This is a bustling hive of activity. There are market stalls all over the place. It's relatively ordered, but this is probably the most chaotic part of the city you've seen so far. They kind of lead you around the edge, avoiding trying to get through the bustle of the market itself. Lead you around the edge over to a fairly large building on the far eastern side. And in fact, I will just do a little thingy to indicate basically this building.
Cool.
As you get to it, it looks like a fairly. It doesn't stand out too much from the buildings around, except that there is like a little kind of like a haze of smoke coming from the door. There's a lot of noise coming from within. It is, it's fully nighttime now. So yeah, despite that, the market is still a hive of activity. That's the thing about Elturel. Sorry, probably should have mentioned earlier. It's as bright as day, thanks to the light shining down from the orb hanging over the city, and that seems to, seems to contribute to this continued activity, despite the fact it's probably like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night now. So, stopping in front of this building, one of the guards turns to you. Well, here we are. This is the Black Antlers. Sure, you'll find yourself quite at home here, but I understand there's the matter of some eggs.
Yes, they're at the main gate with my friend.
Very well. Which ones of you wish to... Are you all going to come with... Oh, did I just get kicked off Roll20?
No, I think...
Yeah,
You all got kicked off.
I'm still.
I'm
yeah, it
still
just
in.
looks like it's me on
You
my.
just said it's just me, yeah.
Yeah, same.
Let's just refresh.
Yeah.
That's all crazy.
Cache clear, refresh.
It's not the end of the world if... Okay, no, you're all appearing back again, that's fine. I was going to say, it's not the end of the world if that does happen, because we don't necessarily need to be doing too much with Roll20 for this session, but it's helpful. Yeah, you're all there except Cal at the moment.
You wait till we start rolling those intimidation and persuasion checks.
I know, right? I know. Well, I trust that you've all got dice somewhere.
Kick the door in, just be like, intimidation check!
Okay,
We
so...
own this bar now!
are you all...
Judgment Day.
Are we all going to collect these eggs, or are some of you staying here? What's going on?
Well, I've only got little legs, you see. Yeah. Poor Butthead and poor Ramsey had a terrible, terrible time in the Plaguelands. I'm gonna give him a rest.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely parched. I could do with a drink of water, to be honest.
And I think I should stay with these two.
Yes.
I'll go get the eggs then.
Come
I
on,
think.
Guthric, me and you.
Very
You
well.
can have a look at the forge on the way out, brother.
Aye, that's true.
So, the guard gestures to two of the other guards. You two remain here. Remain here. Yeah, don't go in, okay? We don't need to be keeping an eye on them. It's only the eggs we're worried about. Not going to have either of you drinking on the job. Kind of mutter, yes, Corporal. So, Gotrek and Rogar, you are heading out to collect the eggs. The rest of you going into the tavern. So, any preference on who goes first?
No? Roll a dice.
Well, we'll do arbitrarily. We'll do the town first. So, Grishanak, Cal, Rory, as you enter this tavern, it is dimly lit. The panels, sorry, wood-panelled walls. Got all the words in the wrong order there. The air is quite smoky. You get the feeling that the fireplace doesn't quite draw properly. Although it's one of the larger buildings around the edge of the market square, inside it's quite close and maze-like. You know, you ever been in those pubs where it's like you come into a little small space and then there's a room off to this side, a room to that side, and then there's like you wind through and there's a... yeah, it's... Essentially, it's like a collection of a dozen small rooms, each one cluttered with tables, wooden beams coming, like, vertical wooden beams up the ceiling. It's multi-level, so you're going up and down steps as you go between the different rooms. It's a little maze-like. Sorry, I should correct myself. Stone support pillars rather than wooden vertical beams. But there are thick, low-hanging beams across the roof. The furniture is really ramshackle. You know, it looks like it's been salvaged or looted from old castles or villas. Various different styles, sizes. It's all a bit hodgepodge. And there's various... Gotrek, you're not inside. Cal, actually, you would recognise these because they were fairly common within Mithril Hall. The place is illuminated, other than the light that comes from the large roaring fire. in the largest main room from these little drift globes that float around. Little magical glowing orbs that are about, like maybe a foot across, a foot in diameter. And they've got like a slight blue hue to them. And there's like 3 per room, give or take, based on how big the room is. The place is heavily decorated with a wide variety of adventurous finds, trophies, paraphernalia. There's old and well-used weaponry. There are split shields, dusty claws, tails, and even like a few shocked-looking heads of miscellaneous monsters. There looks like there's a few maps, although how genuine these are, you couldn't say, purporting to detail castle dungeons, dwarven holds, crypts, cave systems, some of them covered in corrections or notes and blood splatters. Most impressive of all is the enormous rack of stag's antlers, at least 20 feet wide, which you assume is what the tavern was named for. They hang on the wall over the bar. And in fact, as you come in, there's a couple of patrons currently. One of them stood on the bar, the other one helping steady them. They obviously look a little bit drunk because he's standing up there trying to use his arm's width to measure them. As the bar staff seem... The lack of reaction from the bar staff at this drunken man stood upon the bar, like waving his arms around by these giant antlers. This gives you the impression that this is not an uncommon reaction of people when they come in. The staff themselves, you can see various races of various ages represented here. All of them kind of have the look of being fairly well travelled. Given what Lord Hector said about this being like a popular haunt for adventurers, you get the impression that a lot of these staff are probably former adventurers themselves. You see there's like a large kind of dark green, almost black-skinned half-orc, quite burly, probably bit too fond of the ale these days, so he's got a little bit of a belly, but gives the impression of being able to handle themselves. Rather scarred. There's like a large notch out of one ear. There's a couple of gnomes running back and forth, but they don't look like your more kind of... These look more like your hardy, getting out and seeing the world gnomes rather than the lock themselves away and tinker on artifact gnomes. There's a dwarf behind the bar. Seems like has a very dirty rag that they're using. Rather, not so much polishing the glasses, more just spreading the grime around. A few serving people, again of various race, age. I mean, the servers do tend towards being younger and a bit more in the... It seem to maybe have been picked rather than being former adventurers, picked more for their pleasant appearance, shall we say. Male and female. Doing that thing where I try and say 2 words at once. Yeah. What are you doing in the inn? And in fact, I know, I should say, as you enter, so, yeah, walking through these rooms, you come into the main, largest room of the tavern, the one with the antlers over the bar. It seems like the bar itself is like a large, sort of like a regular square structure in the centre of the tavern, and all the rooms are built around it. But you're in like the large main room, kind of near the front, with the longest stretch of bar. And it is noisy and raucous in here. There is music coming from a few of the rooms that's all kind of flurbing into one, which is, I mean, Ruri, to you it sounds... You get the idea that it is popping off. You get the idea that on their own some of these performances are quite nice, but they don't. They're kind of all mashed into one because you're stood in that central like between. You know how it is when you're at like a festival and you're in that perfect spot between 2 stages, where you can hear both of them equally, and it's like this either works really well or it doesn't work at all. You've got a bit of that going on at the moment, but as you're looking around at the various figures here, again, you get. Looking at the clientele, the patrons here, some of them look like dock workers, labourers, or merchants. Others look very much like adventurers' parties, similar to yourself. Some of them a little bit more Should we say a bit more edgy looking? Not quite as ordered necessarily as your own group. You know, you're seeing, rather than seeing people in like plate armor and like, you know, fine dwarven armor and stuff, you're seeing more people in rough leathers with like knives strapped all over themselves. Or Grishnak, you feel at home without typecasting too much. It's much more your scene, you think, than maybe Rogar's.
Yeah, as soon as I walked through the door, I just got a big grin on my face.
And there's various, you can hear like songs being sung of heroics or of horror. There are people sat around kind of leaning close in, passing gossip around. And ringing out over, in this large central room, ringing out over all else is a rather deep, booming voice, which I'm probably going to fail to do at all. Call out, "Come on, Marana! You got more in you than this, I know it! Give me your all!" And you look over to see quite a large figure, quite jovial in appearance. In fact, I've probably got a bit of artwork that I can show you for him. Where is he? Yes, there he is. Perfect. In his rather resplendent armour, his balding head with a large scar going across one eye, and this large flowing brown, like chestnut brown beard. And he is sat there in full armour, although his greatsword is leaning on the table next to him, along with his helm, which is placed on the table. Sat opposite him and currently locked in an arm wrestle is a dwarven lady. She is pale skin, she's got blonde braids tightly tied in a bun. There's a war axe and shield set at her side. She's got the same armour as the figure opposite her, and they're currently locked in an arm wrestle, which, at the point you look over, he seems to be slightly winning. But as he teases her with this, she does suddenly kind of grit her teeth, kind of start pushing back, and you see it start going the other way, at which point the large figure starts laughing to himself. Also sat at the table with them is a large, quite strange looking figure. He's taller. He's sat down, but you can tell that he's taller even than you, Grishnak. He looks human, but with slightly strange features to his... slightly strange facial features. He's completely bald, but it looks like rather than being shaved bald, there's just an absence of hair at all. He's got kind of dusty grey-brown skin. He's got this like hawk-like nose with narrow dark eyes, and there's a large curved greatsword across his back. I mean, this greatsword is big. It's like him-size kind of thing. This guy is... It's hard to tell because he's sat down, but you'd wager he's probably at least 8.5 feet tall. It's a big man, and he has similar armour on to the other two, but his armour looks a little bit more... Like there's unarmoured... There's bits where it just looks like they weren't able to find armour to cover him. His armour looks a little bit more cobbled together. In fact, I would say... you would recognise this Grishnak. This man appears to be a Goliath, who are a fairly exotic people in this world. They are nomads for the most part, and tend not to be found amongst civilization. You're a little surprised to see him here in this plate armor. But yeah, they've taken over a table fairly central to the room, and of all of the noise and hubbub of this tavern, this guy's voice, this human figure who's locked in the arm wrestle, his voice is ringing out over all of them. As you watch as the dwarven woman finally slams his fist down on the table and lets out a little triumphant cry. "Ha! Beat you, Froom. It's your round." He kind of chuckles to himself. "Well won, Marana. Knew you had it in you. Very well. What are you having? A new Tarek?" And can't quite make out the response as he gets up and marches over to the bar. "What are the three of you doing?"
Do I see Leosin? Is he evident from where we stood?
You can do me a perception check.
Disadvantage. Yeah.
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 This one's a disadvantage, not so much because of your tiredness, but because of the haze and the chaos of here. Wow, yeah. You don't see him. Fucking hell, man.
Okay.
With all of the... You get all the high rolls this week.
Oh, I know. With disadvantage too. Wow.
No, you don't see him.
Cool.
So should we go and join our friend at the bar and see if we can coax him into discussion?
Yes, we shall.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, so I'll walk up to the bar and I'll just look at Cal. Dwarven brandy.
Aye, that'll maybe 2 fingers. Just take it easy tonight.
Yep. So yeah, the barman here is the dwarf with the rather murky cloth that he's using to smear the glasses further with. Looks up. Hey, what'll you be having?
Dwarven brandy for me and my friend.
Oh, dwarven brandy, eh?
How,
Well then.
how tall's the bar?
Say again?
How tall's the bar?
So the bar it's like your regular height, but they seem to anticipate this, so just in front of the bar there is like a little raised step that you can stand on that puts you comfortably shoulders above the top of the bar.
Okay.
Turn to Rory as well.
So-
You drink. Right, son.
Yeah, I'll have the one.
3 dwarven brandies, please.
3 dwarven brandies. Aye then. And who's paying?
Just chuck out a gold coin from my pocket and pop it on the counter.
Oh aye, big spender, eh? Are you setting up a tab or?
Might as well. It's probably going to be a long one.
Fair enough, fair enough. Oh well. And he puts the measures. They're a little bit. They're like tumblers, not shot glasses. They're more like tumblers. And he puts them down on the bar in front of you. 3 of them. Starts pouring. And this isn't like the measured pour of somebody trying to get it just right. This is more of a kind of splashing it in there. Go on then, say when. Starts pouring.
When?
Yep. So yeah, Rory, I'm guessing you're calling a fairly short measure.
Yeah, average double, not crazy.
Yeah, average double. What about you two?
Keep pouring.
I just fill her up.
Yep. So he pretty much fills the glasses. And he kind of looks back at us. Oh, say with glass that size, you're probably looking at the whole gold for that round.
That's fine.
Aye, dwarven brandy. It's not the cheapest.
What else are we going to spend our money on?
Aye, spoken like a true adventurer. Yeah, you can see why I'm not looking forward to you guys going to Myrtle Hall. Fucking hell.
Myrtle Hall will be like a stag do in the apocalypse.
Aye, anything else I can get for you? Sorry, what was that?
Say Oscar back for 1 night for his stag do that never happened.
Oh, you can fuck off and take 10 psychic damage. No, it's good, it's good. Anything else I can get for you?
Do you have rooms up here, above your bar?
Officially, no. Against the law. Can't
Right.
have an inn and a tavern under the same roof, I'm afraid.
I see.
Unofficially, then.
Unofficially, we might have a few people staying there, but that's under slightly different circumstances.
Could you recommend a tavern that's near here?
An
What
inn,
about
you
me?
mean?
An inn? Yes. That's what I said.
Aye, there's the river barge there, a little on the other side of the square and down the road a little way. Head towards the docks. It's not the fanciest, but it's pretty cheap, and it's the closest one to here. Good when you're stumbling back, because you don't want to get caught out on the streets by the guards when you've had a few too many, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're tedious. Go ahead.
What is it? Your thief today.
Aye, they're a tedious bunch.
They certainly seem to have some sort of stick up their arse.
Aye, they got a whole bushel of them.
So I'm going to take a nice big slug of my brandy.
Yep.
Same.
Yeah, I'll take
What about you, Rui?
Yes.
Rory, do me a con save.
Hey.
Cool. No,
I
it's
don't
not
think you're at
skill check.
disadvantage. It's only skill checks, so just a straight con save. Yeah. I mean, it's that kind of... You have to do that thing where you take a swig. It's that thing you're like looking at... You look at Grishnak and Cal as they take like a big swig, and you kind of try and match them. And you do have to do that little kind of cough, little shake and shudder. But you're okay. You're getting used to this stuff.
I put my little finger in the air while I sip it.
Perfect. I love it. Okay.
So, do you want to ask? Should we ask the barkeep about Leosin?
That's up to you. I will say at this point, because he came and got his drinks before you, the armoured fella, who you, I mean, out of character, you know to be Faerun because it's there right across the top of the fucking artwork. But yeah, the large armoured figure has gone back to his table with a round of drinks and seems to be in the midst of telling a slightly bawdy story that he finds far funnier than his companions do. Laughing loudly.
This week we could potentially do two things here then. So we what's your name, friend?
You're asking of the barman?
Barman.
Name's Albrecht.
I'll just put that in chat for you. Ooh.
Aye, Albrecht Big Toe.
Is that an in-character laugh or an out-of-character laugh?
No.
Because I am not that stupid.
Yeah, Cal, you would know that the Big Toe is...
It's a traditional dwarvish name.
It is a traditional dwarvish name.
That's a good, strong name there, friend.
You don't have to mock me there, my friend. I know we get somewhat looked down upon by a lot of the clan holds, but well, I'm happier here anyway.
You and me both, friend.
Oh, aye. Is that from all the gestures to your face?
They're not really aware of this.
Oh, aye.
Well,
This.
you don't have to explain yourself to me, friend. I couldn't give a fuck. That's the beauty of a place like this.
The less said, the better. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about our loud friend behind us.
Oh, there's Faerun. Yeah, some kind of, supposedly some kind of knight, but... God, where am I going with this accent? Supposedly some kind of knight, but he... Well, see for yourself.
Faerun, isn't that who we're supposed to be talking to?
Yeah, well, we think he might know where a friend of ours is. Do you know a man called Leosin?
He raises an eyebrow.
Aye, maybe. What's it to you?
Where to meet him here? I've been looking for him. Do you know where I can find him?
How are you now?
He owes me money.
Does he?
Yeah. for exchange of goods and services.
When you say meet, there's someone who wants to be meeting with you?
Yes, we are allies.
Okay. If I was to give him your names, he would know you, aye?
He would know us, yes, definitely. Give him my name. My name's Rory Waters.
Rory Waters.
And it calls over his...
He saved his life.
Oh, really? He calls over his shoulder to one of the gnomes that's running around behind the bar.
Eldon.
Yeah, come here. And he leans down and whispers something in the gnome's ear. The gnome's like, looks at you guys, raises an eyebrow as well, disappears off back behind the bar.
All right, well, take a seat. We'll see soon enough if he wants to meet with you.
Lovely. As we're walking back, I'll like nudge these two and be like, so, people unofficially staying in the building, eh?
Well,
That's Leosin.
possibly, yeah.
Well, I think so.
As we sit down, I sort of meet eyes with the half-orc and just give him like a respectful sort of nod.
He kind of seems to give you like that kind of up and down, like assessing look. Just like nods back respectfully.
No ASMR then, no.
Well, ASMR just... There's a lot of humans.
All right, I know.
One of them
I'm
might be an ASMR.
Yeah,
No one's got their wings out.
Ah.
Get your wings out. Okay, so are you just going to wait to see what comes back? All right then, so we will move over to, just because I'm aware of the time, and I do want to make sure that we get certain things wrapped up, so we will move to Grishnak and Gortrek. As you follow the two guards, now I'm assuming you're heading straight to go and get the eggs?
Yeah.
Yep.
Aye.
So it leads you back out of the city. You have to wait a little bit because currently, beg pardon, the bridges are raised as there's a few ships going past. Their sails are down and they've got their oars out, but they still have the high mast, so they've had to raise the bridges. So you have to wait like 5 or 7 minutes or so while they pass. 7 minutes. Sorry. 7 minutes is all I can afford to play with these fools. So you wait, the bridges go back down, cross over, and you come back outside to where, the companions that bailed you from Fort Morning Lord are still there. They look like they're kind of getting ready to go. Captain Reichsman looks over. Taraxes, obviously, still there. Is kind of... So where he laid the stretcher down on the ground, he kind of laid it like perpendicular to how he stood, so it's kind of arrayed in front of him horizontally. And he's kind of managed to find, he's like perched himself ever so slightly, and he's spreading his wings just a little bit, not like fully. So he's just got that slight kind of hunch, slight arch to his wings, creating like a half canopy, and he's leaning his neck forward with his head down. Kind of looks like a statue almost. Captain Reichsman is still there with his knights, and they're all kind of doing like last checks, making sure they've got everything in order. He turns to you, good. I was hoping you were on your way. We need to get going. So, he gave you the all clear?
Yes,
Aye.
I believe so.
Good, good. Very well. Take your eggs, get yourselves inside. We have much to be doing.
Thank you again for saving us.
Well, just be careful. Next time you have to have caused a travel to Elturel. Maybe go around the Plaguelands, yes?
Yes.
I think that
in the
might
future.
be wise.
Yes. Well, safe travels. Good luck on your mission, on your journey north.
Good luck to you as well.
He actually holds out his hand to shake both your hands.
Oh,
I'll give it a firm shake.
Yep, he's got the kind of firm grip that you'd expect. You know, it's that kind of firm, single shake. Kind of like once up and down. And then onto you, Gotrek, likewise, and then turns. Companions, mount up. We ride out. We can make a few miles before we have to bed down for the night. And with that, they begin to saddle up, begin to depart. And as they do, as you walk up to Taraxes, as he's there kind of holding this pose over the eggs, as the knights ride away, he does relax slightly and looks at you, Rogar. How did I look? Was I menacing?
Oh, terrifying.
None of them touched the eggs.
Yes, it was your good work. Thank you.
I know, right? I do well.
You did very well, very well. Now, we have to take the eggs inside. I don't think they're going to appreciate someone like yourself flying around the city.
Ah,
So it is up to you. You could stay. You could stay here. Find yourself somewhere to bed down. Or you could be dismissed.
I don't like that pocket dimension so much. It's very boring. I guess. And maybe I can find some gold to count.
Yes, good idea. Keep a watch out for anything else, apart from or goats, like orcs or.
Orcs. What about those bastards in the robes?
Yes, Definitely keep an eye out for those.
Okay, I'll keep an eye out for all bastards.
All bastards, yes.
All bastards.
I guess this is just me looking at Traxxas. And
Yeah.
I was just thinking, like, damn, he's a bit crazy.
and nodding, occasionally rolling my eyes, and then like I'm like lots of gesticulating with my head and my hands. And
Well,
no talking.
To be fair, it's actually up to you, because he can talk Draconic, but he's also totally capable of communicating telepathically with you. So it's up to you whether you want to have this conversation out loud in Draconic, or if you want to do it telepathically.
Yeah, okay. In that case, I think it would be Draconic. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, should we just generally assume that unless there's a need for you to communicate, like unless you're communicating over distance, which obviously has to be telepathic, like, unless you're trying to be stealthy, we kind of assume that you do it Draconic.
Yeah. Okay. So Draconic. Otherwise, I'll say otherwise.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. It's also that thing about I'm happy if we're in a stealthy situation. If you go, oh wait, by the way, we'd be doing this telepathically, I'll kind of can assume that.
Okay.
We don't need to monitor it too intensely. I know stuff gets forgotten. Certainly does by me. Okay, so he does sort of.
Well, if there's nothing else.
No, you are free. You're free for the evening at least.
He starts to turn. He just kind of turn back. How long are you going to be here?
Not long, I don't believe.
Okay.
They do not have means to teleport us, so we must find an alternate route.
Huh. Yeah, figures. Okay, well, you let me know, eh? Don't be long.
And he turns and there's a slight. You get the impression there's a slight sulkiness to his. It's like watching a teenager having a strop walking away. You know. So just the way he kind of lopes off and flies and kind of wheels against the sky.
I just watch him go away and look at Gotrek and just go, wyverns, eh?
I wasn't not had any.
So, you're both strong individuals, so I would say, yeah, you can carry this stretcher between the two of you. But this is going to be a bit of a workout to carry this.
I like to imagine I've got it on my shoulders.
Yeah, I'd say
not
you would
short
do,
arms.
actually, yeah. So you're kind of carrying it overarm, Rogar, you've got it underarm.
Okay, yeah. It's like when you're going up the stairs with like a table or something, with someone smaller than you.
Yeah.
Pain in the ass.
I know that feeling very well.
I think we'll just power it back to, I guess, the pub? Tavern?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Disguise it? What?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
cloth.
Yeah, I think the cover's on.
the cover's on. I mean, you do have permission to bring it within the city. It's up to you. I mean, yeah, the tarpaulin's over it. There's not, to be fair, yeah, I mean, Ruri's the one with the illusion spell, as far as I'm aware. I don't think either of you two have
It's
anything
only
like
10
that.
minutes, so.
No.
Yeah.
Does it do damage? No, I don't have it.
So, yeah. No, you're able to carry it back, and the two guards obviously escorting you through. As you do, the guard stops you, Rogar, as you go. That dragon, he is coming back.
No, not until I summon him.
Okay. All right.
He's harmless, do not worry, my friend.
Technically, he's a wyvern as well. Just
Oh,
to be
okay.
pedantic.
I like nod, like yes.
There's a slight eye roll, subtle eye roll from the dude.
Okay. Well, unless there's anything else, let's go.
I'm really getting my Taraxes and my Elturelian confused right now. Just wait till we get to Brynden Shah, man.
Oh my god.
Brynden Shah? Bryn Shander.
Gender. Everyone's Australian.
No, everyone's going to sound exactly like you.
Hi, Mum. Hello, son.
Actually, it's a good point. We'll need to talk about that at some point, but that's out of
Yeah, does Rogar
session.
have a mum?
Well, there was... Yeah,
Well,
we'll
I've
cover that one later. So, you're just heading back to the tavern?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay,
Keep an
so...
eye out for smithies or
Um,
armor or places through the streets.
Alright, do me a perception check as you head back.
Woo.
Ooh, yeah. All right then. So you don't see any smithies or armories itself, but as you get back to the market square and you travel around the, kind of skirting around the market itself, you go around the north side, and you do hear, as you get to about this spot where the road goes up north, you can hear this faint ringing sound that is familiar to you. Sound of hammers on anvils. You can hear it even over the noise of the market and the nearby tavern and everything, because this doesn't just sound like one hammer and anvil. This sounds like a lot, and it is coming from the north. It is faint, it's not like a loud, clear ringing, but there's something there. And looking up at the point where you reach this little junction, you can see there's various signposts, and one of the signs, it's like one of the hanging signs, does have, obviously as you're going past, you can't really stop, because this is a heavy stretch that you're carrying, but you do notice that one of the signs has the little hammer and anvil symbol on it, pointing up to the north. So yeah, you discern from that there is one nearby, or many by the sounds of it. Okay, so carrying on to the tavern.
Yes.
Cool. How are you going about this? Are you taking the thing straight in, or what? There is stables around the side. Yeah, what's your approach there?
Should we consult the guards on where they think would be best?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, the guards look.
Well, I guess you want to keep them with you.
Close to hand would probably be best,
Yes,
just in
I'd,
case.
I mean, obviously, we're going to keep an eye on them, but I would kind of appreciate maybe at least one of you also keeping watch over them. I don't know if they're going to be happy with you taking them inside the tavern.
I will stay outside with the eggs until we can find an inn where we can put them in a room.
Okay, well, maybe we should take them around to the stables for now then, yes? A little bit out of the way.
So you guys going around the side to that. Gortrak, you're going in the tavern?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll flip back to the group of you in the tavern then. You've been waiting about 5 or 6 minutes after having sat down. Yeah, the large armoured man, his dwarven friend, are being quite loud, quite boisterous. The large Goliath figure, it's not. He seems to be talking quietly, but there is such a kind of, when he speaks, you feel it rather than hear it. There's like this deep, bassy rumble, but you can't actually make out the words. There seems like there's a thick accent as well as, kind of. You're just getting the bass, but you can't quite. He's talking quietly. You can't quite hear him over the rest of the noise of the tavern. But yeah, after a few minutes, kind of looking around and looking at the chaos of the tavern, enjoying your drinks, you don't notice him approach. His voice almost makes you jump where he is. You're trying to keep an eye out for him.
Ah, my friends. Good to see you made it here.
You look up to see the familiar half-elf figure of Leosin stood behind you.
Oh, hello.
Hello. I see you got my message.
Yes, we did. We had to take a slight detour, but we thought it was best we come find you.
Good, good. I see you haven't met my friend yet.
Your friend?
He gestures over to the table with the armoured figures are sat around.
Ah, yes, the loud man.
Yes, he is very loud. This is true.
Yeah. The soldiers of the city don't seem to think much of him and his order.
The Order of the Companions are... they're a rather stuck-up bunch. They believe themselves to be the sole saviours of all Faerun, that they will bring order to the entire land. In truth, they can barely keep order within their own realm. They're a little bitter about that, though they do their best not to show it.
the Order of the Gauntlet, while not nearly as pious or as disciplined as they are, have a lot more success in bringing the light to the realm. There's a bit of jealousy and snobbery at play there. Also on Thufroom is an obnoxious drunken oaf, but that's by the by.
That's okay. We know a few of those, don't we, guys?
I don't know what you're talking about, Rory.
Leosin seems not to get the reference there, but he is a drunken oaf with a pure heart, more than capable when the moment comes, and he and all of his order are aiding us in our endeavours against the dragon cult. Anyway,
any ally you have, I'm sure, is going to be an ally of us.
yes, indeed. Well, I have told him of you. He's quite keen to meet you all. Shall we make some introductions? I'd say, Gortrek, this is the point where... Oh, actually, no. Yeah, you're not arriving quite yet.
No, actually, there's one quick thing I need to tell you before.
Go ahead, yes. What is it?
I'm not going to say it out loud. I'm going to message him.
Okay.
And I'm going to say, we've got the eggs. We couldn't smash them.
His eyes widen in surprise for a moment. Before he his eyes widen in shock. And you don't get a response for a moment, and he, actually forgetting himself, replies out loud. This is most interesting development. Good. Where are the eggs now? Oh, sorry. Where are the eggs?
Well, we left them out with the companions, but Rogar and Gotrek are currently getting them now.
I see. The companions, they know of the eggs? They're okay with this?
Yes, I mean, we went to the High Marshal. We told him why we had them. He seemed very relieved to know we wouldn't be here long, but yes, he gave us free reign. We declared it as we entered.
Well, if honesty is usually the best policy with the companions, and they are, for all of their faults, true to their word. So, if they say they're okay with it, then they're okay with it. Excellent. Well, I guess... Where are you staying?
Well, we were advised to stay on a canal boat inn, I believe, something to that effect.
Oh, no, you mean the barge inn?
Yes, of course.
Sorry, the river barge inn.
Yes.
No, that won't do. I'll introduce you to Froome. I'll speak with the staff here. You might have to, you might have to share a room with me, but you can stay here and we can keep the eggs under this roof under all of our eyes. It's for the best.
Yeah, definitely. You should also know that we do already have a plan for dealing with the eggs in a way that satisfies, well, that meets all of our viewpoints in the middle, shall we say.
I see. Very well. Well, we'll talk about this. Well, let's wait for the others to arrive, shall we? In the meantime, I should make some introductions. Come. Kind of gestures for all of you to come. I mean, they're like a couple of tables over, so gestures for all of you to rise. Come, bring your drinks.
Cool.
In fact, it might even be a good idea to bring Froome a drink. One moment. And he heads over to the bar and it's a quick bit of back and forth. You don't see any money change hands. You see a large pewter tankard of ale gets placed upon the... three large tankards of ale placed upon the top of the bar, which he kind of manages to pick up. Come on then, let's go and introduce you.
Yep.
You all follow him over to the table?
Yeah. Oh, who'd we love? Okay, it's fine.
All good.
I'm gonna have my mage hand just sort of carrying my drink floating next to my head just for flair.
Okay.
But,
Flair.
Mm-hmm.
Showing off.
Yeah. Well, not showing off, just trying to make a good impression.
So you head over to the table, and Leosin leading you over. Froome, Ontharr! Ontharr! He has to call over the paladin's loud, hearty laugh. Oh! Oh, Leosin. Didn't see you there. Oh, yeah, well met. You joining us for a drink? Ah, I see you've already brought some. Brilliant, brilliant. Go on. Put him out. And who's this lot then? Leosin kind of looks to all of you. Well, Faerun, these are the adventurers I told you about. Well, some of them at least. I believe the others are on their way. But yes, these are the ones I told you about. The ones that bailed me out back in Greenest. So we have Ruri Waters, Grishnak, and Calibre Doomfist. Everybody, Ontharr Faerun. There you are.
All right.
Lovely to meet you.
Ontharr, he kind of, having taken the tankard from Leosin, taken a big quaff, and slams it back down on the table, stands up. Oh, a friend of Leosin's a friend of mine. Bring it in, bring it in. And he kind of grabs all of you in like a big one by one kind of massive clasp, like firm grip handshake, but not like the curt like 1-2 handshake of the companions. This is like the proper kind of put it here, and then at the same time pulling you in for like a big like shoulder clapping hug. So you bailed old Leosin out of a bind, did you?
We did, actually, yes. I'm glad he told you that part.
So, well, I've heard his side of it. Let's hear yours. Apparently it was quite a fight. Come on, pull up a seat. I'm dying to hear it. Oh, where are my manners? So, this surly-looking lady here, gestures to the dwarf, this is Marana Steelfist. And this gentleman is Tarek Nazari. And Marana kind of nods her head. Hey, pleasure to meet you. Looking forward to hearing this tale myself. Sounds like quite a feat. And Tarek nods his head. Hey, it is a pleasure. I'll just put those names in chat for you. So come on, tell me, how was it? How many did you kill? Did you send those Dragon Cult bastards running?
Well, Cal. I think Cal is responsible for keeping count of how many people we kill.
We may have dealt with a few unfortunate souls who may or may not have been sleeping when I set fire to a tent or two.
It's more they deserve, the bastards. They'd do that and worse if you gave them a chance.
They were many in number. Well organised, but we managed to take a big chunk.
Good stuff.
In the midst of battle, along with young Leosin here.
Oh, yes, I heard. Stealing their prizes out from underneath them.
Well, it was Rogar that got to Leosin. It was quite impressive.
Rogar.
Yeah,
Who's Rogar?
He's one of our allies. He's on his way here actually with Cal's brother Gotrek.
Excellent. Oh, is he the Dragonborn?
He is, yes, the same.
I see. So, go on then. What else? Did you slay any of their champions?
Well,
Well, you could say that, yeah.
Yeah?
there was the one in purple. I forget. I know.
Oh, all them bastards wear purple.
Oh,
Well,
I do apologise.
There was that number outside of Greenest. I cut him in half.
Oh, of course.
That
That was their worm speaker. We also killed Miss Mondath as well.
Mondath? You killed Mondath?
We did.
You left that part out, Leosin.
Oh,
well, that was later on, though.
Later?
wasn't it?
we went back after.
You went.
Leslie-
Ha! He slaps the table. You went back. Oh, he's got to have balls of steel, Leosin. I like you all already. So tell me, which one of you killed Mondath?
Who was it? I can't even remember who finished her off, to be honest.
Oh, we kill so many people. It's hard to keep.
Mondath was you, Chrisnak.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She knocked me down a bit, and I got back up and chopped her aside.
Ha! He again slams his fist on the table. Good. That'll cripple him a little bit.
Who was the purple geezer as well? The other one that I chopped.
Oh, the Dragon Man.
Yeah, the Dragon Man.
Are you talking about the one before in Greenest?
Yeah, the one outside Greenest, yeah.
You would remember that guy named himself as...
Longdedosaura.
Hang on. I'm actually... Because his name is hard to pronounce. I need to bring it up quickly.
Longdedosaura.
Actually, I think we've got like a picture of him, haven't we?
Oh, sorry, what was that?
Yeah, Langdedrosa.
Longdedosa.
Langdedrosa Cyanrath.
So yeah, you know that he wasn't the worm speaker, Rory. Actually, I have to correct you because you know from what Learson told you, the worm speakers are the there's the 5 worm speakers who are like the bosses.
Oh, yeah, forgive me.
But he did tell you that the black dragon, the black half dragon, female Resmir, who Gortrek, the one that Gortrek scarred, was one of the worm speakers.
Yes. Okay, I'm with it. Thank you.
Yeah. No. So Cyan Rosa, so Langderosa, fucking stupid name. Not one of mine. He was the right hand of Mondaf. Yeah. So he's like, well, I don't know no Langdedrosa, one of their lackeys. There's too many of them to count. But Mondath, that's pretty good going. She was one of the worm speaker's aides. Not sure which one, to be honest. But we intercepted some of her missives back and forth. Fairly high ranking, that one. Lieutenant.
We kill one of their dragons as well.
I heard about that. Now that is quite a feat. Didn't hear about that one from Learson, of course. Heard about that from their own chatter. Yeah. We seized a messenger a couple of days after. You really shit him up with that one.
This messenger, did he tell you anything else about him?
Oh, he didn't tell us shit, mate. Not after Marana here separated his head from the rest of his body, you know what I mean? Nah, he was carrying a message.
Well, fair enough.
So I will say it's probably a little bit incongruous with the timing of everything. We'll just say you guys took a little bit of time looking around the tavern when you entered it, but I'll say this is the point, Gortrek, where you would enter.
Right.
And it's not hard to find them. This guy's rather centre of attention.
Just gonna saunter up.
Oh, and here he is now. This is Gotrek.
Gotrek, pleasure to meet you. Put it here, and he does the same, like massive handshake and shoulder clap in.
Nice to meet you.
I'll just give Gotrek the rest of my drink.
Oh, thank you.
Where are my manners? Where are my manners? Tarek, go on, be a dear, get us around in. And the Goliath kind of looks at him, and there's a little bit of a... He's got that kind of... I don't know how to describe. You know, people have those kind of sleepy eyes. Well, they're not actually sleepy, but they've always got that slightly...
Oh no!
They've got those like heavy eyelids that kind of hang, make it look like their eyes are always half closed, and just kind of gives a little bit of a withering gaze. But it's like, fine. Gets up and heads over to the bar. So yeah, Gortrek, you do notice, the dwarven lady, Marana Steelfist, sat there in her armour. Quite fine armour, but she seems particularly intent on your armour. Ooh. Looking up and down. Oh, that's fine work. Where'd you get that from?
Made it myself.
There is like
That's pretty much it.
Both eyebrows go up at this.
Smith by trade.
Marana Steelfist, put it there. Extends a hand.
Gotrek Doomfist.
Doomfist.
Aye.
Aye, for Mithril Hall.
Aye, that we are. That we are.
I should have recognised the name when your brother here introduced himself.
Aye. Steel fists. I don't really. Is that also from Mithril Hall? Or is that
oh shit, no, they're not from Mithril. Hang on, I do have that written down. I've got so many files open right now. Sorry, bear with me 1 second. Where is it? I know it was one of the other northern ones. Yes.
Mirabar?
You know it to be Citadel Adbar.
Oh.
So relatively Adbar. It's not a trap. I can't spell. Yeah. Citadel Adbar, which I think... Hang on, I want to check the map real
Is that
quick.
near Felbar?
No, I don't... Hang on, I'm really quickly going to check the map because I'm not 100% sure. No, so you've got Mittel Hall. Further to the east is Felbar. And then like further east again, like the same kind of distance between Mittel Hall and Felbar, that's Adbar. So Adbar's kind of far to the east. You will see it. We'll go back onto the main map when we wrap up tonight shortly. And I will make sure to point it out. But yeah, you know of it. It is one of the main dwarven holds of the north. So yeah, you know that's where the Steelfists are from. They're a martial family. Very much martial family.
You're pretty far from home, aren't you?
I
Same
could
as
say
us, I
this.
suppose.
Say the same about yourselves.
Aye.
Anyway, your friends here were regaling us with details of your victories over the dragon cults.
At which point, Leosin does interject. Actually, Gotrek, you already told me about the eggs. They are here? You have brought them here?
Aye, Rogar's watching them at the minute.
Yes.
With the two of the Guts City guards or whatever they are from the map.
The companions.
Aye, the companions.
I see, I see. They're outside?
Aye, they're in the stables at the minute. Although the guards are a bit angsty, they want to move on and, excuse me, and see if they can find an inn for us to stay.
Oh, no, we'll deal with that.
You might want to persuade them then. They're pretty ardent that they don't want to be here.
Give me a moment. Leosin goes back to the bar. At which point, Onthar pipes up. So, Gotrek.
Aye.
Heard you scarred the Worm Speaker.
A wee bit, not too much.
She'll remember that, my friend.
Aye, it didn't really help that everyone else has been reminding me. I did tell her my name.
Ha! You're a brave soul. Made yourself a fierce enemy there, I'll wager. Good.
Aye.
Good, let him know your name.
A dwarf accounts to the quality of his enemies. I believe that's what Grandpappy says.
Miranda just like nods. Well spoken. Couldn't agree more. Aye, they'll know who to fear by the end of all this. I'll know my name soon enough. I just need to stop killing all the cultists I come across. Okay. So Leosin comes back over at this point and comes up to you, Gotrek, and kind of leans in close. He's not like whispering in your ear, but he is kind of trying to keep low tones. Okay, I've spoken with the staff. They're going to open up the back door. We can bring the eggs in straight up the back steps. We'll get them into my room. It's much safer in there than out in the street, even if they're in the stables.
Phrasing.
Aye, okay, if you believe so. And go out and grab Rogar and follow his instructions.
Okay, so Rogar, as you're waiting out in the stables with the two guards, trying to make any small talk with them.
I think it's like a kind of like a eyebrow raise, like a nod, like like a trying to small talk, and it's just like a.
Yeah, no, I was going to say anything you venture, they just kind of like nod and okay, just go back to.
I don't think Rogar even tried, like fuck it.
Yeah, fuck this. So you do look up as Gotrek comes back out, accompanied by Leosin. Ah, Rogar, well met. Here we have the eggs. He kind of doesn't even wait for a response, just goes over and like lifts the corner of the tarp and it's like.
I'm gonna put my hand out, like no.
Oh, sorry, I just. It's very exciting. Well.
Who's watching?
No, very true, very true. Well, I've made arrangements. You can all stay here. Strictly speaking, taverns are not allowed to operate as inns in Elturel. And he kind of gives a side glance to the two guards, both of whom seem to be glaring at him a little bit. But strictly speaking, Onthar and I are not staying as customers. We have a different arrangement. It looks quite pointedly at the guard who was identified earlier as being the corporal. It is all completely legal and above board. It's just a loophole. The guard just kind of shakes his head at this. I don't care as long as you're out of here within a couple of days. Anyway, we can keep the eggs here. It's going to be a lot safer than having them out here or at some random tavern. Yeah, they're opening up the back door now. If you want, if we take them round, I don't think we're going to get this stretcher through the door. We might have to carry it round and then quickly carry them upstairs individually.
Yeah, we can do that.
Fine.
You're inside, Ruri. Unless you wanted to accompany them back outside.
Oh, yeah.
That's up to you. You could have accompanied them back out.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I needed to ask him something anyway, so yeah, I'll be there.
Okay. Okay, yeah, let's get the stretcher around the back then and start load them up.
Cool. I'll do unseen servant to help us.
Okay. So, yeah, I'll say, like, between all of you, just kind of get the stretcher back round. You know, doing a double check to make sure you're not being watched. Taking off the tarp. And begin carrying the eggs up. And like I said, they are heavy, but for you, Rogar, for you, Gortrek, they're not unmanageable. Leosin and Ruri, you've got to more just kind of supervise this.
Yeah.
You know, hold doors open.
I'll just sort of, I'll give him a smile and I'll nudge him and I'll say, you heard anything from Twang recently?
From Twang? No. No, I'm afraid the nature of our work, our assignments, we tend not to stay in close contact all that often. You'd probably have a better chance of getting a message to him than I right now.
You would think.
I mean, do you not have magics to that effect?
I mean, I don't
do that.
personally. It sort of look slightly self-conscious.
Well, we can maybe see about that. There is much to discuss. So at this point, I say, as you're talking about this, you kind of supervise and getting the eggs upstairs as you all come into Leosin's room. It's a fairly simple room, large enough that probably all of you could bunk in here, although there's only the one bed, so it's going to be a case of sleeping on the wooden floor. You managed to nestle the eggs in the corner, wrap tarp around them to help keep them covered, keep them away from any prying gaze if anyone's just to walk past and glance in. So, Ruri said you had a plan. Now I know that the Emerald Enclave would be most interested in these eggs, but what are your intentions?
We need to get...
You go on, Rogar. You know better.
Oh, thank you, Rory. We need to get to Kelvin's Cairn.
Kelvin's Cairn. In Icewind Dale?
Yes.
That is a long way, my friend. That is a long way to travel these eggs.
That is a long way. That's why we are seeking out teleportation.
I see. Might be able to help you there.
Really?
I was
Yes.
hoping you'd do that.
Well,
Go on.
officially, Elturel has no such functions. Personally, I don't actually believe that to be true. But regardless, if they have any form of teleportation circle within High Hall, they're not about to let us use it. However, there are others within the city who may be capable of employing such means. It depends how squeamish you are about associations.
Oh
I'm gonna roll
God,
my eyes and look at Rory. Yeah.
Leosin, is this the Church of the Black Hand?
What? No, gods, no, I would never have any dealings with,
Okay,
with them.
just making sure. Okay.
No. Tell me, have you ever heard of the Zentarim? And that is where we will leave tonight's session.
Oh, man.
Dun dun dun!
Great. That's a great end.
Oh, wow. Okay. Right, I can let my heart rate start to slow now.
We didn't treat you too badly.
No, you didn't. You didn't. It's just, like I say, those are always my most nerve-wracking. I loved it. They are my favourite kinds of sessions, because I think they're the ones that really test, I think, DMing the most. But, yeah, that was okay. You guys are good to me.
That was good. Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Good, I'm glad. Everyone have fun?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Whew.
Real feel for Elturel.
And was it good for you? It was good for me.
It was good for me. It was good for me. Did you feel that? Did you feel the earth move?
Are we both smoking?
We should be.
I am.
Oh. Well, I know you are. You always are.
Mate, I was
Excellent.
smoking when I was DM. Don't hate.
Excellent.
Watch. I'll be fine.
Yeah, man. Cool.
Ah, brilliant. Well, thank you for that, everybody. That was good. And yeah, met quite a few people.
Didn't kill a single person. Go us.
No one died. Cal didn't throw a single fireball.
No.
Nailed it.
Boo.
I know.
I've got my clicky finger ready for that motherfucker.
Which
General
motherfucker?
Adventures.
Oh, what, Lord Hector?
Yeah, motherfucker.
I was ready to like slap that secretary.
Oh, the clerk.
Burn
Yeah,
that
mate.
bolt straight off his head.
Bruh, come on.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed that. And yeah, to anyone who's tuned in to this episode, because I will be making this playlist live any day now. I have gotten, I've made myself so busy over lockdown,
It's cool.
which is good.
It's
But
good.
at the same
It's good
time,
to be
it's like, I keep being aware of, oh shit, I was meant to do this. Oh shit, I was meant to do that. But it's cool. Yeah, so we had fun. Hope you guys enjoyed it too. And catch us, well, I say next week. We'll pick up next week to continue this and see, well, if you don't already know, you can find out who the Zentrum are. And whatever other secrets Elturel might have to offer. So, thanks for checking us out, and we'll catch you next time. Good night.